or
Well,
whatever.
maybe not the fun, I'll say.
Well, yeah,
But, all right, we're live. Howdy,
but
howdy,
yeah,
everybody.
I'm a an absolute huge college football fan, and I'm just
Right.
thinking, boy, whoever steps into Alabama after Saban retires
Oh, sure, yeah.
is just phew, can't
Now
help
was
but
it
feel sorry for
is
him.
it a sure deal? Is it Michigan that hired Urban Myers? Is that a
Fo-
sure deal?
Football,
Yeah.
or is that rumored?
No, I thought that was like a thing. Like Karen was telling me about it, this
No,
weekend.
no. As far as I know, Michigan is still what's his
Or
face, and
Michigan State.
Urban
Was it
is
Michigan State?
behind the set.
Yeah. No, I mean for next season, like, he's been
Oh,
hired.
Michigan State. That was the gentleman with the phone sex, wasn't it?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I believe he was the he's already been replaced the head coach, and they have an interim.
Okay.
Talks with Michigan State reportedly hit a snag 3 days ago, it says here.
Oh, okay.
4 candidates, and he is one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he has interviewed for it and people are
Yeah.
thinking, but I don't think Urban Meyer is, um I don't think he can head coach under the current
No,
college environment.
no,
You know,
no, I
a
don't think so.
lot of those older coaches stepping in right now,
Yeah.
I don't think they would be able to do it.
No, and I think the transfer portal has changed a lot of how college football is right now, especially for the older coaches.
Yeah.
Um, but you're no longer like you're no longer. I heard somebody say this. This is not my vision of it, but someone said that you used to go to Alabama just to say you were at Alabama, regardless of you sitting on the bench. You were hoping for that chance to
Right, right,
play, but you could always say, I played for Alabama.
right, right.
And the transfer portal has allowed players to go, I'm not getting any playing time here. I need to get out of here so I can go get some playing time.
Well, and that that whole take your ball and go home,
Right.
uh, pardon my French, bullshit is just
Right.
that is just feeding into the absolute worst tendencies of the previous, the current, and any upcoming generations.
Right.
When I heard a hugely repeated sportscaster comment that USC's quarterback should go ahead and shut it down because he's not going to be, I was like, what?
Right.
Oh, you are just, it's like you represent part of the problem that is going
Right.
on is people like you. Yeah, I just could not believe. And I read about that, and then I'm like, no, I want to see what he said. And that
Right.
is absolutely what he said. I
Yeah.
found a clip, and I was like, that's just atrocious. That get out of here with that, man. It's just, it's a business decision. No, his
Sure.
business decision was when he signed on the dotted line
Yeah.
for the money and the scholarship they gave him to play for this team.
Right.
That's the business decision.
Yep.
You just can't say, "Well, I'm not tough if you
Yep.
don't like it.
So it
Earn the
is.
spot or
Yep.
sit." But
Yep.
you said that you would play here.
Hmm.
Yeah, live up to your promises.
Especially, I hate saying especially, but it is exactly what you're saying with scholarship players. Like,
Oh,
they're giving you money, whether
eh,
you play or not. They're giving you money
yep,
because they think you can make them a better team,
right.
and and as long as you've got that scholarship, your ass better just be sitting there.
Yeah,
Do it.
it's just, yeah, I just, I have very, very strong old school thoughts about all of this transfer portal and all that. You could
Oh, it's
only use the
ridiculous.
portal 2 times. I'm like,
Yeah,
"What? Get out of
it's
here with any of
ridiculous.
that.
Yeah.
Get rid of that." Basically what they are is after playing 1 year of college ball, they are a professional free agent.
Right.
They they can sign anywhere they
Yep.
want if the deal is right. It's like,
Mhm.
you know, but yet you try to to blow this amateur smoke up my tush. And I'm like, please, man, that has been gone years ago. The NCAA clinging on by fingernails to it's like you're a
Yeah.
joke. Just no. Everybody should be just independent. We don't need conferences. We don't need any of that because none of it matters. What
Right.
matters is the money. Now,
Yeah.
the conferences matter in that, the bigger the conferences and the
Oh,
teams in the
sure.
conference
Yeah.
pulls in more money.
Oh, yeah.
But the only reason a team is in a conference is to pull the money.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just it's all professional ball now at the FBS level.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the upper echelons of the FCS level. Division 2, Division 3, NAIA? No, I think there is still a huge contingent of coaches and players that are playing because they enjoy the sport.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I so appreciate being able to catch their games on ESPN Plus or wherever
Mhm.
and watching them. There's 50 people in the stands, but those boys are out there playing with as much heart as anybody for Alabama or Georgia plays.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
And that's what I appreciate. I want to see somebody who is doing their best. Their best may not be anywhere near as good as somebody else's. That's
Oh, yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I fit
Doesn't
into
matter.
that my whole life. I'm like, whatever. But yeah, you go out there and you make that tackle, you bust your ass, you score
Yep.
that touchdown, and I'll sit there and I'll scream at the television just like I will
Mhm.
for Alabama and Georgia.
Mhm.
That's well, for
Exactly.
Alabama. Georgia can kiss my ass, but Alabama. Yeah, I'm not a Georgia fan.
Yeah. Neither am
I
I.
like
I'm a
I
Gator
I
fan.
like Coach Saban and what he was able to do. I don't know that he really, uh, can coach the way that he has wanted to for the past handful of years,
Mm,
but when w I became a Coach Saban fan when his expectation of his team was for every player to go out there and to do what they're supposed to do.
right.
That's it. He
Yeah.
doesn't want them to win. He doesn't want them to throw yards, run for so many if everybody goes out there and does what they're supposed to do,
Yeah.
he is content with the way the team performed, and I'm like, "Heck yeah."
Yeah. It's not the case anymore.
No. No, it's not.
Not for a while. So, all right. Are you ready to get this show
I
on the road?
I am ready, sir.
Alrighty. Count it down. 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Boom Addiction. This is episode 103. I'm one of your co hosts, Chris Partner. With me, as always, is Mr. Ed Moore. Ed, how are you, sir?
Roll Tide.
Oh, God. Ah. As a Gator
That's
fan,
right.
that hurt. That
That's
hurt a lot for you to say that. Oh, that hurts.
Roll
Hurts a lot.
Tide. Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
Jeez.
Elephants are scary animals, man.
Now in football, I'm Gators all the way, and I'm Duke. I'm Duke all the way too. I'm Duke regardless because I grew up in Durham, and Duke's always been my team since I was born. But yeah, I'm more of an ACC guy when it comes to all the other sports. So
Fair.
when I got married, the SEC came into my life, and
Mm. Had
so
had to make some
I had
allowances
to make
and
some
yeah,
allowances.
I
So
get you.
yeah, so
Yep.
we're SEC and ACC fans. So
I was, commenting to somebody on Twitter today. Who was it? Dark Web from the, yeah, I forget the podcasting contingent, but he hosts or co-hosts with
Mhm.
the yard sale artists and those guys. He made a comment about Chris Collinsworth, and
Oh,
I told him, I said, the hate goes deep as a longtime Steelers fan. I just have not been able to put it aside, but he
but
doesn't do a bad job commentating. I will
no,
give him that.
no, he
But
doesn't.
as far as liking the dude, oh,
Not so
that's
much.
tough. I don't. Yeah. That's,
All right. Well, let's see. We have a fairly, I think, an entertaining show in front of us. Not a whole lot of books, only about 4 books to talk about this week. But we'll start things off with an old email that just never showed up in our inbox. I got got a message this morning from Mr. Peter Rios and asked me, "Hey, did you guys ever get a chance to look at my email?" And I'm like, "What email?" And he was like, "Might be in your spam folder." And I look like, no, it wasn't in my spam. I was like, "Who did you email it?" And so he emailed it to the right, boomaddiction@gmail.com. And I don't know where that email went,
Yeah,
but he
I
was
don't know.
kind enough to forward it to us, so he kept hold to it. That's great. This was an email that was supposed to be sent to us. Actually, it was sent to us early October, so we could talk about it on episode 100 because it went along with what we were talking about then. But despite the fact, if you're going to email us, we're going to read your email and we're going to talk about it.
Yep.
So we will start the show off with that. He says, "Hello, gentlemen. You might have more than enough planned for your big 100 episode, but if not, here's a question." We didn't have anything planned for
No,
100. Nope,
no.
just a regular episode. But I'm glad he thought that we were planning ahead. It made me feel a
Pe-
little.
Peter's big on anniversary
He
episodes.
is. He is.
He has said so. So
Let's see. You talked about having thoughts for when Boom hits their 20th anniversary, and they've certainly had different focus shifts over the years in terms of titles, genres, lengths of series, etc. What do you think is their current focus or mission statement, if you will? Or if you had to describe them as a publisher, what would that be? Hope this all makes sense. Congrats on 100, Peter. So at the time, yeah, we were talking about the anniversary, Boom's anniversary coming up in what is it, 2 years, a year and a
yeah,
half, something like that.
2025 sometime, I think.
2024 is the 10th anniversary of Boombox. I think we've mentioned that before. So that's going to happen, and so we'll be talking about that next year. So let's try and address um, Peter's question here. Um, as far as focus, what do we think their focus is?
It, something jogged my thoughts there in reading that email. Length of series.
Mhm.
Boom is not the ongoing kind of company.
Not traditionally,
Um,
no.
Now they do, before anybody out there, yeah, they do have some. I'm sure anything that I will say about Boom, there is an exception,
Sure.
and I know that. I mean, I've been reading their books since 2005. I
Right.
have
Yeah.
a pretty good idea. But these are broad strokes, and I
Mhm.
think that's what Peter is asking about are broad strokes. They prefer the if it is a longer series or just a set 5, maybe 6, but 5 issue series, 4 to
Mhm.
5. So they prefer either the chapters if it's a longer, and even if it's a longer, it's not necessarily going to be an ongoing. The Something is Killing books are very much the aberration in what
Right.
they. I mean, those actually, I think if you look at those 2 books, if you take them out of the equation, I don't think there really is anything else
Well, I mean, other than
longish
the
ongoing.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and that
Well, yes,
whole
I'm sorry.
license and everything,
Yeah,
that is the biggest one. And they've had other ones in the past, like The Woods, but that
right.
was more of a planned,
Invincible,
30 issue
Irredeemable,
run.
those things. Right.
Yeah. I mean, those were planned to be a contained story to a certain amount of issues, not this will go on indefinitely kind of thing.
Right. It looked like an ongoing, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think if you'd have been a fly on the wall, you would have found that, yeah, 20 to 30 issues I'll be able to
Yeah.
do. And, so that is something that they do. Either they break up with breaks also, longer stories,
Mhm.
or if they do want to do a longer story, they'll just put out 4 or 5 issues. And then for all we know, that's it until there's another chapter 8 months later.
Mhm.
That's another 4 or 5. So
Yeah.
they're nicely contained without necessarily concern or giving away that there is going to be more.
Right.
We'll do all of this right now. We'll have a beginning, middle, and end. Put it out, trade it, hardcover it,
Mhm.
everything like that. And then I maybe based on the way that we purchase it, maybe it was in the plans all the time. But
Yeah.
um, like you have another thing here, which isn't going to make the fall of 2023
No,
prediction.
no, it's not.
Um, they plan at the beginning maybe, but then whatever market issues come up, and it
Sure. Yeah.
is, it shows up later down the road, and we were content and thought that, oh, this was all there was going to
Yeah.
be. Oh, we wish there was more, et cetera, et cetera. But we enjoyed this, and we have it, and we moved on to other things.
Yeah.
And then lo
And
and behold,
I know
down
we've
the
brought
road a
it up
couple extra
before,
years.
and stuff like Damn the Mall and um,
Mhm.
Something is Killing and stuff like that, where it's a planned miniseries, and sales are get to a certain level. Like, I don't know, not having sat in these conversations, everything we're doing is pure speculation.
Right.
So I'm kind of curious if those conversations are partly what you're saying of there's always a plan to do a second arc or second mini series at some point, as long as creatively there's a story to tell. And then two, which is probably the bigger thing, is are the sales there to support it.
Right.
And I think those two really go hand in hand, but if the sales aren't there to support it, then creatively they may hold off on it till trades come out, or whatever,
And see,
and
right.
and see what the market, kind of read the tea leaves, and see what's going to happen down the road. um so I do think Boom, as far as an over the years, have done just that. They've been very content with telling or publishing finite stories that can be both done, read in singles and read in trades. And really, I think over, and I couldn't give you numbers, but just it's more of just sort of seeing how their press releases are and sort of the market and everything really sort of push their material outside of the comic store. They're really
Hmm.
pushing it in libraries, pushing it in larger bookstores. Their goal is not only to have their books sell well in comic shops, which is where they get their stuff discovered and get people behind it and all this other stuff, but they're also trying to look long term with their properties.
Right. Right.
And so, yeah, so I do think that's always, I mean, you could say that with anybody, but I do think that is I don't say like a mission statement, but definitely a focus that they have. um Now, you and I have, obviously been reading for a long time, so we have seen sort of that ebb and flow where, you know early on when we were doing the show, we saw a lot of sort of horror type titles,
Hmm.
suspense and stuff like that. Not everything that they published, but it was a lot of it. And so that was sort of a strain of books for a while. And then it got into more kind of YA, young, um, young reader, sort of Y14 kind of type books with Boombox starting,
Boombox. Right.
and so there was a lot of focus on those titles, which was great. Not really, you know, not a lot of them were focused toward us as a demographic, but at the same
Right.
time were written and done well enough, or not well. That sounds weird, but done with that focus, but at the same time open ended for anybody really to enjoy it.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
It wasn't. It wasn't intended to be exclusive. It
right.
wasn't,
That's it.
we're gonna do this
That's really what I was looking
despite,
for. Yeah.
it's like, no, you might find, there's a little bit in there that you
Yeah.
might be able to hold you over if it's a
Yeah.
younger geared
I
book,
remember
but
something like Save Yourself was a book that you and I both really enjoyed, but we were definitely weren't the demographics for it.
yeah, no, yeah. But
So
yes to both, yeah.
yeah. So but I don't think Boom right now has I guess a mission statement that I could write down in one or two sentences.
No.
I do think they are. I don't think they're the. every year they talk about at Comics Pro, they talk about a certain percentage of books that they're going to not publish. They're going to decrease their market by
Mhm.
6% or whatever it is. Usually it's one or two books a month or something like that, which is, I don't know what that means, at the end of the day, how that helps, if it helps or not. But at the same time, it's not really mission statement. It's more like goals that they have. Um,
More like a business plan
right.
than a mission statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and this we're probably, at least I know I'm not doing a real good job of answering Peter's question because I don't think there is a real answer for that right now, other than having somebody from Boom just saying, this is what it is. But I've even gone back and listened in the last, I don't know, couple weeks, listened to, Boom Direct stuff with, that Philip was on the show when they
Yeah.
interviewed him and everything. There wasn't really anything clear. There's, yes, there are goals and stuff that they have, but there was nothing like, this is what Boom's going to be. We're going to cover this genre or we're going to cover these genres. So I think it's just they're trying to, like every publisher, try and publish a wide enough net of books to try and bring in readers that might like this one or two books and maybe use those books through the advertising in the back of the books and just stuff, other people talking in comic shops and us doing podcasts and those things. Um, get them interested in maybe one or two other books.
Sure.
The goal is never, I don't think, sure, I think in a perfect world, they would love you to buy everything.
Right.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, they're also realistic. They know what's on the shelf. You know, they know what people's pocketbooks are like, wallets and stuff. And it just, you can't afford to buy everything. So I think they try and put together a catalog of titles that there's 3 or 4 books out there that you'll enjoy. And we've said this from the very beginning of us doing the podcast. The one thing that we really have enjoyed about Boom over the years is that there is something for everybody. And if that's a mission statement, sure.
Okay.
I mean, but I don't know if that's something that they would use. But again, I think a lot of publishers do that. Try and hit
Yeah.
as much of a market as possible to cross pollinate readers to other titles that they put out. So
So many things like that, I think, just boil down to being business decisions. They're
sure.
just good business
Mhm.
decisions. You know, um, we know that everything isn't going to appeal to everyone, and we
Yeah.
know that everything isn't going to appeal to a single person to where
Yeah.
that person would buy everything they put out. But like you said, if we can get someone to stay interested in two or three things, and then on occasion come out with something that's kind of sideways, kind of like that, maybe they'll
Mhm.
grab that too.
Sure.
And so they don't buy everything, but when the 2 or 3 titles that they are reading finishes up, they have already started another couple because they
Oh,
seemed
yeah.
interested,
Yeah.
and they'll read those, and
Yep.
then, and so it's kind of like rather than like a Marvel or DC, you have a long-term fan, but it's kind of hopscotchy
Yep.
as the different, almost like I envision almost like a Frogger kind of situation,
Oh, yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
take one thing and you'll ride it until, well, you don't wanna get off. Is there anything else close to, yeah, let me try
Oh,
this,
sure.
and,
Yeah. It's like
um
you're gonna have your Power Ranger fans who are gonna read those
oh,
books,
yeah.
and that's gonna be
Yeah,
it.
that's yeah,
You're gonna have your Buffy fans who are gonna read those books, your
that's it.
Firefly fans, those kind of things. But then you're gonna have your Cullen Bunn fans who will read everything that he's got, but you may just have like a horror fan who is reading a Cullen Bunn book, not because it's
Yeah,
Cullen Bunn,
right.
maybe, but just because it's a horror book. And as long as they have at least one horror book or two or something along those lines, Ghostlore is not exactly a horror book, but it's
Every now and then, though,
supernatural.
it certainly
It
smacks you in the face like
Yeah,
it should be.
like it
It's
should
like,
be.
wow.
But But it's like you said, it is sort of that Frogger thing, and Frogger for you younger kids and
Oh yeah, no,
children,
go
it's
go
a
look it up.
go
If you
look
don't
it
know
up.
what Frog, go look it up.
It's an old video game that
It's
we
it's
used to play
it's
at
right
the
up there with like
Tasty
Mr. and Mrs.
Freeze,
Pac-Man and Pong.
right?
If if look
Donkey
those up
Kong,
if you don't know those
yeah.
either. Do some research. Come on.
Yeah, dude, we can't do everything for it. But yeah, so I don't know if we answered your question, Peter, but it is a good question. I think it's something that a lot of folks um I think a lot of folks want to put their publishers in some kind of category so they can not check them off, but just say, okay, when I want to read these kind of books, I'll go here.
Right. Yeah.
And so I get that. I mean, we freaking do a podcast by one publisher. So I get that to a degree, and I read a lot of books like that, or used to. I don't do that anymore. Um, but yeah, so I get that. So I mean, I guess I should throw the challenge out to all of you who are listening and watching. Even, what do you think is Boom's current focus? What do you think their focus as far as their titles go and the creative teams that they use? What do you think could possibly be their mission statement? Those kind of things. Email us boomaddiction@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter at boomaddiction.
Speaking of which, I
Mhm.
wanted to touch base with you. Did
Sure.
anybody win the Lee Bermejo books?
No,
Oh,
no, nobody won
okay.
those.
Cool. All
Cool.
right. Moving
So
along.
we're going to try and
So,
give those away some other way.
all right. I also have a pen and ink that I would be willing to give away. I have to look and see which one it is. I forget which one it is off the top of my head, but
Oh, okay.
I have an extra copy of one of the new
The newer ones?
generation
Yeah.
pen and inks, not the
Yeah.
old gen.
No, the other ones, no, we're not giving those
No,
away.
if I had multiples of those, they're staying.
Nope.
I'm
Not
sorry.
happening. Sorry.
I like those too much.
Now, last episode, so along with the email, we did have someone in our chat last episode was brought up the sequel to BRIAR, or talking about wishing that there was a sequel to BRIAR. And in doing some other research, I came across a press release from Boom from this past February when Comics Pro was happening. Come to find out, one of the books that was talked about coming back in a second arc, along with Dan the Malls when they announced this one, was BRIAR. BRIAR was supposed to come back. Christopher Cantwell and Herman Garcia, who was supposed to return for a new arc according to this, following the initial 4-issue limited series. The new arc would continue Savage reimagining of the iconic fairy tale story and then it was supposed to come out this fall,
Yep.
and then it hasn't. So,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
and I hesitated to follow up with Boom or even Cantwell to find out exactly what happened. Cantwell has not been on Twitter since earlier this year. So I don't have a way to get in contact with him. And then I sort of just balked at the idea of getting up with Boom, just trying to get something, to find out for the show tonight. But, it is, Boom's not the only publisher that's done it, but I can't remember the last time Boom had announced a book that didn't happen. Not saying
Yeah,
it
that
hasn't
didn't come
happened.
out. That's yeah.
So it could. Now Cantwell is busy doing a lot of Marvel stuff as well as his own creator stuff. So I am kind of curious if we're still gonna get this. But either way, I thought it was at least something to bring up, since we were talking about it briefly last episode. So,
Interesting coincidence. Yes.
but so all right, so let's jump over to FOC. If I can remember how to do this. Boop, there we go. Once again, we're using Capital Comics here in Raleigh, North Carolina's website. It is capitalcomicsnc.com. Those guys are, like I said, over in Raleigh, near Crabtree Valley Mall, if you are local. and looking for a comic shop to go hang out at, I would highly recommend it. I have been a customer of, good Lord, I've been a customer of Capital Comics since the early days. It's like I can't even remember how long ago it was. But definitely for a very, very long time. It's under new ownership in the last year or so. But same, I mean, if you didn't know that, you would have never noticed. I mean, really hadn't missed a beat. They've actually sort of really gotten I don't know, there's an energy there that I really enjoy. That's just really gotten to be sort of a destination place to go to. So but yeah, so we're using their FOC because they post, they're not waiting around. This is stuff that's due in Monday, November 13th, which is next Monday. So check these. Behold Behemoth, number one. These are a lot of the Boom exclusive covers that you can get on their shop. Well, you could get them on the shop, but now they're actually being solicited here. So Behold Behemoth number 1 of 3. Get that, and then one Behold Behemoth. That's weird. I just realized 1 of 3 here, but then it's 2 of 5 over in the next one. Did it change from a 3-issue miniseries to a 5-issue? It was a
longer.
5-issue.
Yeah, it was longer than 3, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever remembered hearing that it was only going to be 3. Maybe
Yeah. That's
way
weird.
early it did.
I've looked at this FOC several times this evening, and that was the first time I noticed that. So, but they've got a BSC cover for 1, 2, and 3 that you can pick up through. I think it's Diamond that they're using. BRIAR number 1 of 4. We get 1 here. There's a Berserker foil for 12. Then we get into the new books. Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer, number 5 of 5. We get A and a B there. Another BSE cover. This one for Damn the Ball, number 1. We get Ghostlore, number 7 of 12. A couple covers on that one. We get Giant Days Library Edition hardcover, volume 7. House of Slaughter, number 20. And this kind of falls into that scheduling thing that you and I were talking about last episode, where we'll be talking about Last Vampire Slayer and Ghostlore tonight, but House of Slaughter did not come out this week. It comes out next
Right.
week. Or it comes out technically. We'll talk about it next episode.
Right.
So, yes, we've kind of confused ourselves.
Yeah.
But a lot of covers for 20 there. There's a BSC cover for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 100. From Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the second miniseries. Actually, there's 2, 3. Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. That's Once Upon a Time at the End of the World BSE, a black and white one. Orcs the Gift, the third arc from that. First issue of that is on FOC there. Get Ranger Academy number 3, a couple covers there. Space Between number 2 of 4, and then Vicious Circle number 1 BSE. So lots of stuff you can pick up, a lot of orders that you can make. So I highly recommend checking out your local comic shop, seeing what they've got. Make sure you get your orders in. Maybe they've got some discounts and stuff. I know there is another shop here locally. If you do there, if you get books through FOC, you get an extra, or you get 20% off or something like that. So everybody trying to get to increase their order so they can, I don't know, to get incentives or something to that effect. So, but yeah. So, all right, let's talk about, while I switch screens here, talk about the new books that are coming out this week. There we go. Would you like to cover those, sir? If you have any, or do you not have it pulled up?
I don't have it pulled up, but I do have off of our. Well, that won't be. No, you go ahead.
Okay, sure. So we've got Abbott 19. This is all books that are coming out this week, which is November 8th. So we've got Abbott 1979, number 2 of 5. A couple 3 or 4 covers there, or 3 covers there. We've got Approach number 1 of 5. That is one of the Boom Studios exclusive variants. Got one another exclusive variant for Book of Slaughter number 1. Then we have Damn Them All number 10, which is this the last issue? Or is it 12? Did it go up to
12.
12? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 covers for that. Then we have Firefly, The Fall Guys, number 3 of 6. We've got 5 covers for that. Ghostlore, Volume 1 trade paperback. So if you've been curious about that series, we'll be talking about issue 6 tonight. So, and I think this particular, I forget what issues are in this one. I think it's just the first 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we've got Grimm number 10. That is a Boom exclusive foil variant. Grimm number 6 under the exclusive variant for that. Then Harrower number 1. I'm not sure if I like having all these Boom exclusives listed in my, in my stuff. So yeah, you can get that one too. House of Slaughter number 11, Boom exclusive. House of Slaughter number 19 will be out next week or this week. House of Slaughter, see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 variant covers on that one. We'll add another one for number 2, exclusive variant for that. Then we'll have Hunt for Skinwalker, or The Skinwalker, excuse me. It is number 3 of 4, so we've got 5 covers for that. Then the Jim Henson's The Power of the Dark Crystal, the complete collection hardcover. I would love to pick that one up. That'd be pretty sweet. Met Cadets, number 4 of 6. Got 4 covers for that. Neighbors, number 1 of 5. This is another Boom exclusive cover. Another one exclusive cover for Something is Killing the Children, number 30. And then we have Specs, number 1 and number 2. Good Lord. Lots of Boom exclusive variants. We have another one for Stuff of Nightmares, number 1 of 4. And then the brand new series, Zawa and the Belly of the Beast, number 1 of 5, with 6 covers for that one. I'm looking forward to checking out that one. I've got a preview copy of it in my inbox, and I just refuse to look at it. Gotta wait until I get these books talked about first, and then I'll go the next
Then
week.
we'll move on. That's it.
Yeah, gotta keep it together somehow, one way or the other. So, and then the last thing I want to talk about before we get into books was the email that just came out this afternoon, talking about the Amory Wars Kickstarter that will be starting tomorrow. So if you know anything about the Amory Wars, it has been published. There's four,
I think, and this is the 5th. I think.
Give me a second. Let me think. Okay, so in 2007, the Amory Wars was published through Evil Inc. Comics, but through Image Comics. So if you don't know what Amory Wars is, the lead singer of Coheed and Cambria has this is his comic book series. They have used this as sort of inspiration for some of their albums in the past. And so this is sort of the story of it all. So the Amory Wars, the second stage, Turbine Blade was the first one. That came out through Image, and then it came over to Boom with the second series. Excuse me, the third series. Third series, yes. Why do I keep thinking? The way this thing's laid out, maybe that's what it is. But anyway, then we get in keeping. It does. That's where I'm trying to figure out where everything is. The Emery Wars in Keeping the Secrets of Silent Earth. That was published by Boom. That's when I first got wind of it. And
that initially came out from Image also.
Is that one? Okay, that's
geez. And then when they came over, I think when they came over bringing 3 and then 4, they brought 1 and 2 with them to
Okay,
republish to
that's
set
what
up.
it is. That's what
Um,
is throwing me off.
and actually, when they initially came out through Image, the first 2 volumes, they didn't necessarily have a surname on them. They were just Amory Wars.
Yes.
When they brought it to Boom is where you see the Secrets of Silent Earth,
Mhm.
that should be the second, and then Second Stage Turbine Blade, which is the first.
Okay.
Then I'll
And then
keep
good
going
old
here.
pump.
I've got
Yeah.
you've got Keeping Secrets on Silent Earth was the 3rd volume,
Mhm.
and then I'm Burning Star, Good Apollo, I'm Burning Star was the 4th.
Yeah.
So this is the
That's it.
5th.
Okay. So the 5th one comes out tomorrow, November 7th. I'll be launching at 11 a.m. Pacific. So if you want to check that out, you can. This is the 20th anniversary. So what this is, so much like Berserker and Skinwalker, this is going to be a 12 issue comic book series or a 3-volume trade collection, however you want to get it. Um, so you can secure it through this and get it, and they will. Um, I think they're eventually going to launch it as a like to comic shops like later next year. I think we'll have to wait until it actually launches so we can get all the
Yeah,
details.
to make sure. I
Um,
mean, that's what they have done so far, but
yeah.
with something like this, there's never any guarantee that that's what
Oh
they
yeah,
will do.
for
I
sure.
mean, although I will say, with almost 3,500 people already pre-signed,
Yeah.
this thing is going to crush tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. There's no doubt at all. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I am hesitant to. Oh, and the Expanse too. They also did this with the Expanse. Forgot about that.
Hmm.
But I am personally a little hesitant to what I'm gonna end up getting, just based off of whatever the prices are. So we'll see what the tiers look like.
Yeah, just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am excited about it because now if you try and go back and buy the back issues right now, they're a little expensive
Mhm.
because why not?
Well,
The Coheed and Cambria fans are rabid, and I say that and I mean that in a good way because I know
plus,
quite a few
I
of them.
don't think they necessarily tore things up when they first came out, so they wouldn't have been printed to
Right.
huge numbers. You know.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Although I will say, these this is backer kit. I'm assuming it's going to be a Kickstarter, but you can also
Yes.
do this backer kit only. I have seen people do that as well.
Okay. All right. So I'm assuming I've
Um,
never seen that. So that's why I say Kickstarter. I was assuming it was going to be Kickstarter, but maybe it's just through
it
BackerKit.
it could be, but Boom hasn't done that through backer kit, so I don't know why. I don't
Right.
know why they would start with this. Um, these things that Boom has been putting out through Kickstarter of the more collectible nature
Hmm.
have been absolutely minus any digital um,
Yeah.
levels, and I hate that. I absolutely hate that because I'm getting to the point where, yo, if I'm going to have to do something with my wife to make room for my books, and I can't do that. So
And I can't do
I
that.
just yeah. So
People would look down on you for that.
I need to save some space, man. Make me some digitals, please.
Uh, yep. There you go. There you go. All right. So with that said, let's dive into the books that we have for this evening. So where would you like to start, sir?
Let's start with Ghostlore.
Okay.
This is brought to us by Mr. Cullen Bunn. He is the writer, and that's all I know off the top of my head. So let me open it up.
That was
It
it.
is yes, yes. And so moving on. It's created by Cullen Bunn and Leo Max, written by Cullen, illustrated by Leo Max, colored by Jason Wordy, lettered by Ed Dukeshire. This also has a second location in the story. That aspect of the story was illustrated by Jakob Rebelka. Because I'm the game master. That's why is the title. If you're curious, this one did this have a title? I'm not on the right page. I don't. He's not necessarily big on titling his
No,
individual issues, is he? Yeah, I
no.
don't think I've noticed that from Cullen very much. Three looks like 5, 6 variant covers. So a handful of covers there, designed by Samantha Glow and Grace Parks, both listed as designers. So not sure if they split it up or what they did. So this story, much as the paramour to the way that the previous issue went, this story focused on just one of our two protagonists. For those of you, a quick catch up. We the story has become that of a father and not a pair, but the two characters are a
Mhm.
father and daughter. They were a family of four, but in the first issue, the mother and the son were killed in an accident. The accident had more than just psychological effects on the survivors, who were the father and the daughter. We have been following them initially for a couple issues. They were in the same place. You certainly can't say they were together, but they were in the same place. And now they have gone different ways. And last issue, we were following Harmony. I believe that's her name. And this issue, we're following Lucas, which I believe is his name. And don't hold me to that, guys. I went back at my notes to get the names. I could have written them down wrong to begin with, which means I've been perpetuating this lie.
I am
It's not
going to
intentional.
make a mission statement or
Okay.
statement of a mission
Okay.
that moving forward, I'm going to write down all of the character names in our
Okay.
show notes
I
to
try
help
to
both
do
of us
that.
out. I
Yeah.
know I do too, and then half the time I forget.
Yeah.
So I still will probably forget. So, but I'm going to at least say it out loud to help the two of us out.
Okay.
I'm going to do that.
Fair
So we'll
enough.
see. We'll see if it happens next week because there's like
So
6
we,
books.
yeah, really, next week. Whew. Um, and actually, it's interesting you say that because usually what I'll do is I'll read the books whenever, just different times.
Yeah.
But then an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours maybe before, I'll sit down and go back through them, and that's when I start writing
Yeah.
names of
Yeah.
people and things like that after I've had time to, think about it and stuff like that. Um, I I was struck by the fact that Lucas is traveling, and so Cullen places this story in Carl's Highway Diner.
Mhm.
There is just something endearing to me about that type of setting. It's not complicated, it's
No.
not complex, and chances are it's a setting that most, like a very high percentage of most of the readers will be familiar with.
Oh yeah.
Uh, just the other day, I had some downtime working on a project, and I was in the vicinity of my boss, and we just got to talking, and we were reminiscing about this old place that you used to be able to go and eat on the highways called the Glass House.
Mm.
For those people that are familiar with that, or perhaps you're familiar with Hojo's
Oh
or
yeah. Yeah.
Howard Johnson. Yeah,
Mhm.
they don't even exist anymore, but we're like, yeah, we both, we
Oh
both had been to them and remember them. Yeah,
yeah.
so this kind of put me in mind of that. Carl's Highway Diner. I don't know where it is, but it could be just about anywhere. It,
Oh yeah. Easily.
so um so Lucas, and the car here, 2012 runs like new,
Oh yeah.
written on the windshield of one
Yep.
car here parked outside the diner. I don't know if somebody drove it there or if they, yeah. So I noticed that right off when I read it. It made me laugh. Um, Lucas is looking for his daughter. She decided from their hometown in Kentucky, was it? That's reaching a little bit far back. It's an Appalachian town. They were distinctly
Mhm.
in an Appalachian setting. Lucas was a preacher, so Harmony and her now deceased brother were preachers' kids. Anybody that has been in towns and dealt with preachers' kids knows, they're familiar with the stories about preachers' kids.
I deal with
So
one every day.
Oh, well, so see,
Not because I'm a preacher, because I'm married to one.
I was gonna say it. I think that must be your wife. Um, so she as part of these changes and the things that the two of them have been going through, Harmony decided, well, also because of her relationship with her father, that she was going to try to find some answers out on her own.
Mhm.
She's arguably old enough to just strike out
Oh,
on her
sure.
own. She's
Yeah,
kind of on the edge there. Lucas doesn't really seem to think so because he's out looking for her.
yeah.
Um, and he has
Well, and she
stopped.
just kind of up and left too.
Yeah, she just
I mean, she left a
disappeared, really.
note,
Just
but at the same time,
eh,
she just up and left.
yeah, it wasn't talked about. They didn't
Yeah,
hadn't necessarily had a fight, or it was just like, oh, she just
yeah.
decided, and here's yeah. Um, so he stopped at this diner looking for her. The initial people, and I suspect this is why he went to the diner. The initial people that he talks to are truckers,
Mhm.
men who, whether they would admit to it or not, was another thing. Could have given her a ride somewhere
Yeah,
and helped her get to wherever she's going. So he is probably stopping at the diner because that's where they're eating.
yeah.
One of the initial panels, we saw a row of gas pumps, all with rigs pulled into them.
Mhm.
Um, asks him, nobody's seen her. Starts asking around, the diner since he's here a little bit. Stops and gets him some food. I guess he's still. Um, actually, he's kind of looking like that actor Pine. I think a little
I'm
bit.
glad you said that. Yeah, there is a panel or 2 where I'm like, "Is that Chris Pine?"
Yeah, he looks like Chris. I thought he was older than that,
I
really,
was
but
like,
yeah,
"Oh,
he's
okay.
he's kind of
Sure.
looking like Captain Kirk, Chris
Yeah,
Pine,
yeah.
actually. Yeah. So, um, he's getting him something to eat. Now there are several scenes, and I don't know what the significance is other than maybe just setting the setting, but there are
Mhm.
several scenes of people in and out of the diner,
Yeah.
leaving and entering. Um, and there's significant panels. The one I'm looking at here is probably about 20% of the page. Um, so I'm not sure if there was. I looked at it to see if there was something I was supposed to pick up, and nothing jumped out at me. So
Right.
again, I guess maybe it's just background. Um, but he's asking around. And now we see the same panel kind of, but inside. Here, though, these three individuals that you see in one portion of this panel, it moves on, and they definitely play a major part. And I,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
think maybe that's what I thought. Huh. Well, maybe outside here there was something that we were supposed to notice, like we noticed
Like
inside
there
in
were
this
more of them
panel.
out there, yeah.
Something, yeah. But I couldn't pick up anything. But we have a trio, and that they don't belong.
Right.
Um, and I have them described as Rasta chick, which
Okay.
chick it may not be female, but that's just my impression. Millennial dude, and yes, I do kind of mean that as an insult, so all of you can sit back down. And suit dude, It's- and
Suit
it
dude.
yeah, this is because the way that they are attired. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
all they have nothing in common,
Right. Yeah.
and uh, broad strokes. This is how they are drawn.
Mhm.
One dude is in a three-piece suit with a tie. The I presume woman, she has dreads and a cap hat that I associate with people with dreads because it's got a big bulbous top, and a
Mhm.
lot of times they'll put a lot of their hair in it, and it poofs out. Big overcoat, and then dude with the slouchy cap and the hair falling out of it, and millennial dude. I mean, he's millennial dude. He is.
He's got a
So
cape and everything.
it's so they come in, they know Lucas is here. And they fix on him as soon as they come in and they head right to him. So
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, yeah, this is not
This is
this
going
is no
down.
this is like any movie you've seen
Oh,
where
yeah.
our main dude comes in and he's just sitting in the diner having a nice meal. And then somebody walks in, however many, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, they're gonna make right for our dude, and
Mhm.
something's gonna happen." Um, so these 3 represent the bad guys. I, I don't even know necessarily good or bad in this story.
That's the thing.
It's
Yeah, we've not really been given. I mean, we've been given sort of impressions of who's the good side of this conflict and who the bad side of this
mhm,
conflict is. But at the same time, it's also the point of view that we're being shown it in.
right. Yeah.
So now, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a good. Like I don't know yet.
They represent someone who has or someone or something or some group, whatever. They represent a point of view that has an interest in Lucas,
Yeah.
and we saw that not last issue, but the issue before that.
Mhm.
Um, that someone, something out there had an interest in Lucas. And apparently, the emissary that Lucas interacted with then didn't do everything they were supposed to do in meeting uh, with Lucas. And that is brought up by these three. They're kind of this is the follow up meeting
Right.
from that first meeting. Um,
It's a
they
heck of a follow up team.
Well, they are a little bit more, pointed, I think, in getting their message across,
Aggressive.
particularly because at one point, Lucas, it he never does he never in this scene with these 3 really, I think, shows any kind of emotion in what he
No.
says, verbally or anything. Very, very even keeled, which maybe is part of what sets one of the characters off, the way they
Yeah.
go off,
Mhm.
but you see very quickly that they don't take kindly to Lucas's point of view. We'll say uh, a, uh, a struggle ensues that encompasses most everybody in the diner. Um, shall we say, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah, for sure.
Um, but before this brouhaha really can be settled, Lucas is kind of taken to the side by the appearance of a ghost. And I'll
I
reference,
think did you have his same reaction? Really?
yeah,
Now?
now,
Now?
yeah, it's like here, okay, go ahead. Um, those of you that have been reading the book know what Lucas's what his proclivities are in interacting with the dead, much as his daughter initially, but they have very different uh, finalizations of those meetings, different
Yeah.
methods
I'm
of doing that. And
curious on why that is still.
well, and I have a suspect. I suspect something here
Okay.
with this particular interaction. Um, but he's interacting with this ghost, and that takes on the second part of the story that had the different illustrator. This goes back to a foursome back in I suspect back in the day, which would have been probably yeah, they said Satanic Panic. That was in the '80s,
Oh, yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
mid to late '80s, and that's also when Dungeons and Dragons became part of the popular culture zeitgeist
Yeah.
because of the Satanic Panic. So, it's 4 juveniles, high schoolish age males. I take it again, yeah, I take that they're 4 males, and they're playing their whatever weekly, biweekly Dungeons and Dragons game. The games master, the DM, the dungeon master, starts getting a little freaky here with them, and some some things that normally would happen in the game start happening external to the game.
Yeah.
So they start happening uh, quasi for real, but not strictly. Read it and you'll see what I mean. It's not a one-to-one kind of relationship as far as what's happening in reality.
I am not playing in this campaign. I'm out.
But I am not using this DM at all.
No.
I'll be like, "Oh, you got a game? Who's DM?" No,
Not
I don't
happening.
want none of that. No, he rolls with teeth, man. Come on, forget your D12. Um, so things go a little sideways, and it's because of this dungeon master who is a friend. I mean, he's been the dude, but now on this particular instance, he's the dude plus. um, he's a little extra, I guess is what
Yeah,
you should say.
that's a word for it.
Yeah, yeah. And so ultimately they knock him out because as long as he's talking, things are happening.
Yeah.
Like he is directing what is to happen. And they knock him out to stop him from talking, to stop these weird, uncommon things from happening to him. But apparently, well, no, they don't kill him. I thought at first
Oh,
they
no,
did,
no,
but
no.
they don't. But then, because of what he's doing, it was already set up, or he's somehow invited, or whatever. But ultimately, something else comes into the room, and I I believe ends up killing the four of them.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
we don't see it. It's off panel.
Erica Slaughter does not come in and help anybody
No,
here.
no,
No. You're all done.
and it's obvious that all four of them have died because one of them is the ghost that Lucas is speaking to.
Yeah.
So um, the ghost starts to get a little frantic because certain things are supposed to happen when they unburden themselves to either Lucas or Harmony. Uh, and we have found out that yes, what this ghost is thinking is more than likely what happens when they speak to Harmony.
Yeah.
But when they speak to Lucas, Lucas has to take a little bit more direct hand in helping them
Yeah.
helping them continue their journey.
Yeah.
And so this
To
the
say
ghosts
the
don't know
least.
that. They don't realize that
No.
in doing this, the way Lucas has to do things is different from. I don't even know why they would expect certain things to happen, but they seem to. I mean,
Mhm.
it's not a process that they undergo more than once. So how would they have an expectation of how that process should go?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know, but unless they've been told, seek out someone and they shall, something. But we don't know that. But he starts getting agitated, and the ghost is agitated, and one of the initial real life trio tracks down Lucas, and so he uh, decides that he's going to talk to Lucas with a nice large knife in hand. Um, both
It
of these at the
happens.
same time. Now, I don't necessarily know what this next scene is. It's almost as if okay, well no, I take that back. This is the beginning of what I suspect.
Okay.
Um, this this is the games master, and he was possessed.
Yeah.
This that initially occurs is the possessed aspect, the demon, if you will,
Mhm.
coming forth and exerting his presence in the meeting between the ghost and Lucas, I believe. And that's what the
You
set me
mean being
free,
exercised or just
n- making himself known.
okay.
Because if in the real world the two of them were bonded,
Yeah.
why not this aspect? We've seen the ghost aspect, so why
Mhm.
not the spirit that whatever was controlling or possessed him or whatever? And I think that's the dragony kind of
Yeah.
um, who initially is cast out or maybe is released because of the ghost having spoken to Lucas,
Mhm.
much like the ghost thought would happen to him. So
Yeah.
maybe it happened. Maybe that's why, although I can't say for other instances, but maybe that's why he didn't react in that way because he was possessed. The
Maybe.
possessed spirit acted in that way, but
Yeah.
then dude is still left here needing that release.
Mhm.
That sounds really weird. Um, and so, yeah, not in a sexy
You're
way.
fine. You're
Uh,
fine. Move on.
anyway, so after the possessed spirit, it leaves in an explosion of ectoplasmic energy. It left
Yeah.
ooze. No, that's in a movie, but it did knock everybody out except Lucas. Lucas, though, in essence, to help these ghosts in the way that they believe they will be helped by speaking to Lucas. Lucas has to very violently dispatch them from this plane of existence. And he usually does so by seemingly killing the ghost again.
Yeah.
I say that because the original person has already been killed.
Yeah.
That's typically what these ghosts are. They are the victims of some um, evil, negative kind of thing that ended their corporeal life, left them wandering, which we don't know why. And then by interacting with Harmony or Lucas, they continue that journey to, again, wherever they're going to be,
Mhm.
according to Mr. Cullen Bunn and Ghostlore. So this frees him, but it frees him, this ghost, in maybe even a more dramatic way than the other spirit was released. In doing so, though, we find that the Rasta chick, the millennial dude, and the suit dude all died in the uh, ghostly conflagration that
Yeah.
came from Lucas's physically dispatching this ghost. I don't know that in the past it's been quite this violent before. Seems like every time he does it, it gets more violent.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe it is. Maybe that's part
Mhm.
of the story. It's
Oh, it's just growing, yeah.
building and pushing us
Yeah.
towards, whatever the denouement of the story is going to be. Um, but now it seems that maybe Lucas has a little bit more leverage to get some information from these people,
Yeah.
because now they need him for something. If
Yeah.
once they realize that they're dead and just spirits, I guess by extension they'll realize what they have to do to move on,
Mhm.
and Lucas or Harmony will be the one to do it. But right now, Lucas is right here in proximity,
Yeah.
so he he wipes the blood off his knife, which it's like, you don't really need to do that. It doesn't matter. Being dramatic, I guess, and
I
then
guess,
talks
yeah.
talks to him. Let's find out where this person that they mentioned um, to him earlier.
Yeah.
Let's find out where he is or she is.
Yeah.
And very, very violent story, both in the real world, but also in the spirit world via
Mhm.
Lucas's actions. So one is violence perpetuated around him, and the other is violence perpetuated by him. But either
Yeah.
way, he seems to be a violence magnet,
Yeah.
which is, I guess, kind of a interesting philosophical kind of thing if you want to delve
It's
into that aspect of it.
it's getting it's getting weird for sure. I mean, it was weird before it was before last issue. So like the first excuse me. So last issue, issue 5. So the first 4 issues um were, I want to say, they were pretty clear cut. Like
Mhm.
obviously we didn't know what the mystery was and how they had these ability. We still don't. But there was this sort of, we were as confused as they were.
Right, right.
And so last issue, we get a little more Harmony. Kind of, she's met up with some folks who have her same ability. So we got a little bit there. And then this particular issue, with their dad, we're getting like, it's almost like after his conversation with Cyril, you know, and sort of being, you know, told stuff. And now we've got these 3 who show up who are basically sent there to clean up Cyril's, or finish the recruitment, I guess.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Um, and do it in a way more violent way. Although I think he was pretty close. Like he seemed to be a fairly violent person as well. So, um, but it does seem like we're getting some, while not clear explanation, direction is what we're getting for both Harvey and her dad.
Right.
So obviously, at some point, these two are going to collide with both their parties. Well, I mean, he's kind of by himself, but I do feel like we're going to have some sort of, you know, collision down the road with the two of them.
They'll be at the
Um,
same place at the same time, yeah.
and hopefully, again, it's a 12-issue miniseries, so we've got some time. And, we definitely want to know why her ability is the way it is and why his ability is the way it is. Why is hers more of a healing thing and his is more of a killing thing. Maybe we'll learn that, maybe we won't. I think that's sort of a thing that we all want to know as we're reading this, but I'm not necessarily certain that we'll find out. And I
We don't
may be
need to
okay.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we don't need to know. And I may be okay with that when we get, at least for my reading. But yeah, I mean, it's still, it's still a really good miniseries so far. Um, the pacing of it is really well done. I haven't felt like we've been spinning, in place at
No.
all. I think we're getting a little bit of not huge time jump, but just sort of like moving the pieces along along the path at a decent pace. So yeah, it's been a pretty good series so far. It's almost one of those things now that we're at the halfway point. I'm like, I know we're going to start getting answers and start getting some other stuff, and
Mhm.
I also know that that means the story is going to start coming to a conclusion, and I'm not really sure I'm ready for that as a reader because I kind of like this story.
Right.
But it's got to come to a conclusion at some point. So yeah, so good stuff.
Yep. I agree.
All right, so let's look at the new series that came out this week, The Space Between #1. This is created by Karina Becco with Danny Luckert. Karina Becco is the writer. Danny Luckert is the illustrator, lettered by Jen Campbell. Several covers with this. Design and logo is by Marie Krupina. So this is a 4-issue miniseries, according to the Indicia. And so this is definitely it's a sci-fi series.
Mhm.
Um, this takes place on a I don't want to say what's left of the Earth, but it is definitely a asteroid M kind of space station ship of some kind. By the silhouette that we get in the first page or two, it's definitely some sort of rock formation with a city built in and around it and inside of it and everything. This is uh, a civilization who is built on tiers, where the pilots and those that live on sort of the upper level or upper decks are the higher class, we'll say, and then the lower level folks are the ones that make the space station, ship, whatever it is, sustainable with food, water, and air and everything like that. We're introduced to this pilot who, much like every other pilot that any movie or book or anything has ever introduced us to, is a little bit rough around the edges and doesn't like to take orders from anybody and knows what needs to be done to save the day. Um, it's that trope, and every time I read it or see it on TV, I'm always good for it. So, because I'm a big Top Gun fan, and it's not exactly Maverick by any stretch, but at the same time, I do like that character type. But anyway, so she disobeys orders and to save somebody and saves them, and then gets relegated to her quarters until they know what to do with her. And in doing so, she escapes her quarters, or wherever they had her. It wasn't the brig. She was just in a room, but escapes, and in doing so, goes through some duct work and falls to the lower levels, and is discovered by because she falls in a vat of algae. There's an actual worker there whose job is to is to fish out anything that falls in the algae, and
Yep.
so he obviously fishes her out, not expecting it to be a person. It's like, well, that was a big splash. What was that? Oh my god, it's a person. But immediately knows it's somebody from up top. They strike up conversation. She's in this all new world of like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this is where all this came from, and this and that, and my whole life has been a lie up to this point. So it's a little tropey when we get into that area of the book. She I don't know if this is meant to be sort of a distinction between the people up top and the people in the belly of the beast, but the folks that are in the inside of the station are much taller than, like, so I don't know if it's just that she's just short and he's just tall, but when we get to see like other folks that he's friends with or knows, they're all about the same height,
Mhm.
both the men and the women, and the pilot from up top, she's still short. So I don't know if that's just happened to be the case. Um, but either way, um, she gets introduced, all this other stuff. Along the way, surprisingly, they fall in love, which really confused me because by the time, like the whole thing is like he's trying to get her back up top. This all happens in this in one issue, by the way. We're not even
Oh,
halfway through the issue.
yeah,
I mean,
more than that happens in one issue, yeah.
yeah. So we get to like, you know, they get to up top and he comes with her for some reason. And when he does, he's seeing the stars for the first time and all this other stuff. And they embrace and have a kiss. And I'm just like, when did you know each other for 20 minutes? I mean, okay. So I had a little issue with that.
Yeah,
Uh,
seemed a
so
bit forced.
it seemed a bit forced. But sort of from the solicitations, the sort of crutch of the story is their love story. So, um, so he ends up getting, the one from the lower decks gets arrested because obviously he had something to do with her being down there, which she's trying to clear his name. And anyway, so he's in prison for like 5 years, and we get a 5 year, within like one page we get a 5 year jump. There's we get a year jump in a panel, which is fine. I mean, there's not a whole lot to be said. She makes a bold statement, on the PA system to the whole ship, station, or whatever, about what she saw and the people that she saw and met and all this other stuff, and that, pleading his innocence and everything. And he eventually, he serves his time and gets out in 5 years. Um, and that's kind of where we are at the end of this. Um, by the time I got to the end of the issue, I was kind of like, one, a whole lot happened. So I got good bang for my buck as far as an issue story goes. But at the same time, I wasn't, like, some stuff just felt super forced. And like I wasn't 100% sure that this issue couldn't have been uh split up and told a little bit, give him some more space to sort of make me believe that these two would fall in love, and or at least be infatuated with one another. I mean, the two make very bold statements and actions for one another for people who they just met. Um, so I don't know. I mean, there's nothing. I say all that saying there's nothing wrong with the storytelling. There's nothing wrong with the structure and all that other stuff. That's fine. I think all of it's done, with skill and effort. I, I'm not a huge fan of the art. The art's good, but just it's not a personal, you know, favorite of mine. Um, I mean, I will say one thing I do appreciate is that Luckert does a great job of, every person is different.
Mhm.
There is no, like, oh, I didn't know that's who that was because I thought that was something. It was never a confusion. Everyone looks unique, which is great. Anytime an artist takes that much time, and there's a lot of people within the pages of this book, anytime an artist does that, I'm super appreciative. Whether I'm a big fan of their work, their work or not, I appreciate that. And so that was done very well. Um, but got to the end of the issue and I wasn't like super I just again, not a bad book, just not my favorite thing that I read this week. Um, and I'm kind of hoping I get more in the next issue that kind of hooks me. I really wasn't hooked by anything. I was more trying to question why things were happening as fast as they were happening. So that's all I got.
I don't necessarily think that I could add anything different.
Oh, good.
It did. I question why it had to be 5 years in 25 pages. Um,
Right. Yeah.
if it's their love story, presumably they will live a normal human lifespan. So,
Tell me the story.
yeah, it seems like you would have some room.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have to follow them every day, or you could have
Right. Yeah.
bigger jumps between issues, seasons of life.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, and just uh, qu- questions. The final scene. Who are they? June and Nev
Yeah.
are up top.
Yeah.
So does that mean situation? I mean, I know that the council or whatever they are,
Yeah. They were.
they have met to
Yeah.
discuss what started by Revla and Les being captured. In
Yeah.
essence, that started everything because then in their time that they were being served or that they were serving. Revla, and apparently this is something big in this time and places. They have video capability like our phones, only they wear them on their
Yeah.
wrists, and everybody is broadcasting. And so she broadcast this big diatribe of, I've been somewhere I wasn't supposed to, and I want to know why I wasn't supposed to, because I met these people that are not supposed to be up here, and I want to know why they're not supposed to be up here. Just the general shakeup of current society,
Yeah.
which there were a lot of things in the story that I have seen played out before.
Hmm.
I have read played out before. So it uh, two or three things, and it'd be like, oh yeah, I recognize what that is. Oh
Right.
yeah, I see where this is going. At least this part of the,
Hmm.
and I don't know. I just thought that this issue relied a lot on uh, the backs of a lot of previous story creators,
Hmm.
and I don't I haven't seen in this first issue why were so many, and I don't want to use words like memes or tropes or things like that
Sure.
because
Yeah.
those words don't necessarily have the most positive connotation. And I mean,
Yeah.
I I don't necessarily care. I fully agree with the fact that there's only a handful of stories, however many
Sure.
there's supposed
Yeah.
to be, 20 or 40 or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, I have consumed stuff long enough that I'm like, yeah, it's been forever
Yeah.
since there was something totally new.
Yeah.
So much so that I suspect that probably at this point it's not possible.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a rehash, but it will be elements of things that you have seen
Oh yeah.
before,
For sure.
So, but this just seemed like it was, a tablespoon of seen that before and a cup of
Hmm.
seen this before, and I'm like, what is it that has prompted you to tell this story? What is this story? If so much of it so far is relying on the backs of previous
Yeah.
creators, obviously. I mean, it's not hidden. They're
Yeah.
not trying to, oh, let's see if we can sneak this. But no, no. I mean, you read two or three panels, and you're like, oh, well, that was, whatever, Star Wars or Planet of the Apes or Star
Yeah.
Trek or Battlestar Galactica or whatever. I mean, you can pick out other places that you've seen it, and it
Yeah.
happened multiple times through the story. So I'm just at a point where I'm like, okay, I understand how you are putting your story
Mhm.
together, but now tell me why this story with all of these redone parts.
And that's what I think this issue was put together to give to put us in this to put us in the world and introduce us to
Okay.
everybody. This is an introductory issue. And as you were talking, this is kind of what I'm having to think about it again. This is an introductory issue. There's a lot of stuff to tell in issues 2, 3, and 4, but we need to get sort
Okay.
of the players
So all of
in the
that
right
is in the
spot.
first issue.
So,
Okay.
and I'm guessing at that,
Okay.
um, because like one thing, this reminded me when I got done reading this. It reminded me of a song that I've heard lately. I won't go into band or title, but it's a song that I like, or I should like, and I like it enough. But it's one of those things. It's a band that I like with a guest musician that I like, and I felt like the song the song moved super super fast so that to and cram so many lyrics and everything into the first 45 seconds of the song. It hit the verse in 45 seconds, like the first verse, or I mean the first chorus in 45 seconds. And I felt like it was only so that the guest artist could then spend the next 2.5 minutes doing their thing, which is fine. This kind of felt that way. It was like, okay, we're going to use this first issue to like cram as much information as possible about these characters in this world and everything, because we want to spend the next 3 issues telling you this much bigger story that
Okay.
we've laid out. And if that's the case, fine. That's good. Fine.
Right.
But I didn't get a lot to latch hold to in this issue that made me want to come back, other than because I've read so many comics and I felt like there's no way that this is how this
Right.
like the rest of this is going to be like this. Like I feel like this is, and now I don't know a ton about uh um excuse me, I was trying to Karina
Betchko.
Becco's. I don't know a ton of her work. I've seen some of it in the past, or read some of it in the past, but I just can't think of anything off the top of my head. But I know the name,
Right.
and so it's not like this is a brand new writer or anything like this. She's had some work in the past, and so I can recognize in the issue there's structure, there's solid dialogue. Nothing is this is not a bad book. It's just I personally just I can't. There's nothing for me to latch on to, and so I'm hoping the next issue will give me that. Um, and if
The
it
the
doesn't, I
hook
don't know what to do at that point.
the hook was a little bit lacking. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
there's a lot of folks of higher order thinking about
Mhm.
comic book structure than myself.
Yeah.
I think that consistently say that, really successful books have that really solid hook in the
Mhm.
very first issue
Yeah.
to make people buy the second or until the story really gets rolling.
Right.
This one,
I just
it,
didn't have it.
it's almost like a reverse hook. There is no hook to make you come back, or to test you to see if you're willing to come back the next issue
Yeah,
without it.
because like I said, I I feel like because I didn't get hooked, that I missed something. Like there was
Right? Yeah,
like I'm
it must
supposed to
be
be hooked.
me.
Well,
Yeah,
part of it is
yeah.
that, and the other part is like, no, because I can see that. I can see the hook. I'm not an idiot. And so we'll see. We'll see when the next issue comes around, what happens. So all right, moving on. What would you like to talk about?
she has been nominated for a Hugo and an Eisner.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is
So
she's not a slacker by any
pe-
stretch. I mean,
people like her writing. Yeah. So it's
right.
like that must just be me. Eh, I don't
Well,
know.
and I'll give you this. After I read this book when we first got the preview copy of it, and over the course of the weekend, iFanboy, who obviously one of my not obviously, but one of my favorite podcasts from because they're the old school guys. This is their pick of the week, and one of them, Josh. Well,
Wh-
hold on. One of
Why?
them. Well, hold on. One of them really enjoyed the book. Josh really enjoyed the book. Connor thought it was like the second worst book he had read that week. And it was just like, so when they do pick a week, it's purely, personal. It has nothing to
R-
do with anything. There's no
Right.
there's
Right.
no
Yeah.
meter that they all had. But uh but it was hilarious, for Josh to go through and sort of talk about the book. And Josh is very, Josh thinks a lot about the books. He is that higher thinking, you know, critic of a book. And Connor just kind of came in and went, it was the second worst book I read behind Batman. It was just like, well,
Second
Batman,
verse behind Batman. Wow.
yeah. So anyway, he's a Batman fan, so he's very
Hmm.
critical of Batman. But either way, um, but yeah, so I went back and reread the book, and I was like, I I see what Josh is saying, but I also don't, I still don't like it. So, so it is what it is. I agree with
Yeah.
most everything he said. I mean, but yeah, it was just funny that when it was like pick of the week, I'm like, I need to listen to this. I need to say, did I miss something? Did I? It's like apparently I didn't miss anything. It's just wasn't for me. So all right, move on.
Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes.
Mhm.
Lords of the Jungle.
Yep.
Invisible Republic.
Oh yeah, Invisible Republic. Yeah, she did that with oh god, I forgot what the artist's name is. I know
A
what his name
lot of
is.
Planet of the
Uh,
Apes when it was with Dark Horse. A
yeah,
lot of Planet with the Apes.
yeah, and that's the thing. She's done a lot of license work, and it's all
Avatar,
been
Laura
good.
Croft,
Mhm.
Angel season 11. Yeah. Yeah. Like you, I've seen the name, but I don't know really probably that I've ever read a lot of stuff from her.
Yeah.
All right. The final book for me, because I'm sure there's one more book that you have read this week.
Oh sure.
Um, Ranger Academy issue number 2.
Oh okay. Cool.
And it is written by Maria Ingrande Mora, illustrated by Joe Mignon, colored by Fabian Mascolo, lettered by Ed Dukeshire, multiple covers designed by Madison Goyette. So, this is the story of Sage. Uh, just Sage. I
That's
don't,
it. Yeah.
I'm
There is
not
no last name.
sure. Well, not only that, but the dad says that this is his daughter, didn't he?
Yes.
So, okay, so we do know it's not that it's important, but the character is, in my mind, drawn rather androgynously. So you
Yeah.
I
We
can't
do get
discern.
references to she and her throughout the
Yes,
book.
yeah, now,
Um,
I don't think we ran into that too much in the first issue.
no, no, we didn't.
So,
No.
just a reference by the man, who was tending to her, shall we say, and daughter, but we were even left with, well, we didn't think that it was his daughter per se either.
Yeah.
So, or maybe he said referenced she, and we thought, yeah, we don't think that's his daughter. But
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter. Sage is our protagonist. They hitched a ride, um, and have been taken to Ranger Academy, and now they're here. Now they have to become a part of the Ranger Academy.
Mm.
Mathis and Tula are individuals responsible for bringing Sage. Well, I guess I can say her,
Yeah.
bringing her to the academy. Um, One is much more friendly to her than the other. I'm not sure. I think what that's about is a personal issue that the individual has at the time that they interact with Sage. Sage kind
Yes.
of catches them with their defenses down,
Yeah.
and Tula objects to the fact of being caught with her defenses down, I think is what it is.
Oh,
But
yeah, that was for sure.
it's not really gotten into too much, but I'm sure it will be something that comes up later because of the way she acted towards Sage. Mathis is all about helping Sage get in, and she'll do fine, and they're all happy and bubbly, showing Sage the different parts of the academy and what goes on where, and ultimately leads them to the another cantina scene, which we saw in the last book that you were
Yeah.
talking about. Um, and then from there, kind of turns her over to her uh, academy cohort, what will be her
Mhm.
cohort, in that she is a first year student, but she's coming in about halfway through the first year. So
Yeah.
everybody has half a term, however long that is. First year, I suspect it's longer than year like we know year. I mean, this is occurring across time and space out in the universe somewhere. So yeah, 7 days measured by what? Yeah, that kind of question. Um, so let me back up. I really, really enjoyed the light, um, optimistic, energetic
Mhm.
feel of this story.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, it wasn't juvenile. You know, it's not like I was reading a 1940s Donald Duck story, or
No.
a Kaboom story, to bring
Right,
it
yeah.
back full circle, or anything like that. But it's not there is nothing so far, definitely in this issue, but in the first two issues, there is nothing anywhere, well, maybe except Tula, taking itself too seriously.
Right. Yeah.
They're young people, enthusiastic about their situation and very optimistic about what they are trying to do and where they're going, and just their worldview is just infectiously positive
Mhm.
everywhere. Nobody is hurt. Nobody is bemoaning the fact that they're here and they don't want to be. None of that. There is very little, like I say, except a very short interaction with Tula,
Yeah.
of any negativity at all from any of the characters in the story. And I so appreciated that. There was no angst. There was no, it was all very cheery, happy, positive, moving forward. And
Yeah.
that energy was just popping out everywhere.
Yep.
Sage, she's a little concerned, comparatively, because she realizes that she has been thrust into a situation mid-run. She really, except one situation, it shows her in five, I think, situations, classes, let's call them.
Mhm.
And in only one class did she know what the heck she was doing,
Right.
and she actually excelled above
Yes.
everyone else.
That was
All the
pretty
other
good.
classes, she was clueless. She had
Like,
no
"What am
idea
I
what they were
doing?"
talking about.
Yeah.
And that's affecting her because she wants to be good, but she also knows that if she's not good enough, she will be made to leave, and she
Yeah.
doesn't want to do that. So she's very, very, which is something else, very positively conscientious about what she's doing and where she's at.
Mhm.
She's not worried about only working for how much money she gets paid and not working, yeah. And yes, that's a dig, for those of you that don't know. Um, but so, in order to make up for what she feels and what she has experienced as her lack compared to virtually all of those around her,
Mhm.
she goes to the library because she was told, I believe it was by Mathis, that hey, there's this concept now, and it sounds weird, but Sage has been off by herself, so a
Yeah.
lot of these things, not only does she not know, but she has been introduced for the first time,
Oh, yeah.
words and concepts, and she so she just truly does
There's a
not
lot of,
know.
like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
There's a lot of
and
new and innocence to this.
they 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 definitely play on the quote unquote less sophisticated country girl, farm girl in a more sophisticated, highbrow city urban kind
Mhm.
of environment, and that's what she is. She is the however you want to describe her, out of place
Yeah.
in this new situation. She wants to be in place. She wants to
Yeah.
know what's going on. She's told that, hey, this place called the library has everything you could ever learn. So if there are things that you don't know, this would be the place to go catch up and
Mhm.
learn them. So she goes to the library. The head archivist, what's his name? Nika,
Yeah.
Nika. I hear it Nika in my head. And I like his glasses because they have no upper frame. They
Yes.
just have the sides but nothing in the. I'm used to no lower frame, but yeah, his didn't have any on the upper. I was like,
Now we
that's
know
kind of cool.
he's seen some action because he's got a, prosthetic arm.
He's got a
He's got the big
scar on his
scar on
face.
his
Yep.
face. So,
Um, so he seemingly several things. Seemingly was expecting her.
oh yeah.
Seemingly knows her.
Yep.
So he was kind of prepared with the I got you.
Yep.
Read this. And so he gives her it's not a book, but a book, and she reads it and notices somebody that she recognizes in a picture, and it kind of throws her for a loop. But then that's the end of that section of the story. Um, her friends come and get her for
Mhm.
whatever's next in the day, uh, and the book ends with Nika getting an actual phone call from someone that we recognize. Well, someone that we recognize from two places.
Oh yeah.
We recognize them from the first issue, but we also recognize them from the picture
Yep.
that Sage was looking at that caught her
Almost like
attention.
Sage was given that on purpose.
Well,
Hmm.
she has grown up
Hmm.
so much, I think was the
Yeah.
comment that he
Yep.
made afterwards. Yeah. So it's like, well, if how, how far does this she is where and when she is supposed to be? How far back to the very beginning of the first issue does
Right.
it go?
Yeah.
It well, it's just coincidence. Yeah, okay, could be, but
Sure. Yeah.
now we're seeing that maybe there are some things that aren't
Yeah.
coincidence. So, yeah,
Oh, and it
but
just
just
I enjoyed every
just
bit of that.
very, very, and I don't know what the word or the concept is I'm looking for, but it had feels that are lacking most of what I read from contemporary
Mhm.
books right now.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, it's not something that is encapsulated frequently in current books, but
Oh yeah.
it was all in this book, and it was just such a joy for me to read, and just a it was a relief, sometimes I just get more and more bound as I read books. It just
Oh yeah.
but this was just like, "No, here, read this," and,
Yep.
it was and, "Oh, I'm done," and it's like, "Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay." Yeah, I enjoyed it very, very much, Lee. I am very appreciative of the way that these creators have put this together. I really enjoyed that book.
Oh yeah. And it was very the feel you're talking about a throwback kind of thing. It's the very feel of uh Kitty Pryde meeting the X-Men. It's being introduced to a world of characters that she has no understanding of and is being
Then,
thrown into it.
not if you read it now. If you read it
Well,
for
if
the
you read
first
it
time
then,
when it
yes.
came out, yeah,
Yeah.
that the way that it felt then.
Yeah.
I mean, you still can see the way, it's
Oh,
supposed to
sure.
feel.
Yeah.
But us as the readers now, you and I,
Mhm.
it's not necessarily gonna feel that way because there's too much in between.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But imagine, yeah, reading that off the stand, and it's
Yep.
like, yeah, that was
So,
Cool book. Cool book.
yeah. So the one thing, we've talked about how Mighty Morphin Power Rangers are our Uncanny X-Men to everybody else.
Wow. Yeah.
It's very impenetrable. Uh, you can give it your best shot, and some people latch on, some people don't. We were two that didn't, but I think, I think we were both hopeful for this book, having read the Free Comic Book Day issue, that this was going to be of that world, but not in that world.
Right. Right.
We could come in sort of fresh eyed and be introduced to a lot of new characters, and sort of have a second chance to get into this universe. And I think with what we've read so far, at least for me, I'm all in. This is a
Yeah.
really
This is, yeah.
good book. You There is no qualifier for this. You do not need to have a massive history or understanding of the Power
No.
Rangers, other than just knowing that there are Power Rangers. That is
What the Power Rangers are,
right,
in
because
the big picture.
you come in as a reader like Sage, you know, of things, but
Right.
your learning is like she is. And so yeah, this is, I enjoy the art in this. I think it's very light, very bright, very, I enjoy the fact that it's not a heavy inked book or heavy shadowed book. It's supposed to be, you know, uh it's supposed to be sort of in your face. It's supposed to be something that it's a manga book without being manga.
It definitely, you can see that they're leaning that way, but they
Yeah.
don't fall into it. Anime
Yes.
and manga.
Yeah.
It's not all that. It's just like, well, there are some things about those things that I like, and
Yep.
I'll use
There's some
them in my
influences
drawing.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but it's not I there is no way I could describe it as manga or anime-esque,
Right.
really,
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just a good book, and I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
seeing it. It is, the ending of the book, we saw a mile away, but
Yeah,
it's still made it fun to read. And so are we getting more of that next issue? Probably. But I'm not guaranteed that. I'm just looking forward to picking up the next issue and just seeing what
yeah,
we get. And there's uh I get that feeling at the end of a book fewer and fewer weeks that I read books. Not for any, not that comics are bad or anything like
yeah, no,
that.
no, no,
It's not
it's just,
that, but it's just like as a reader for as long as I've been reading comics, I kind of enjoy getting that sort of throwbacky, feel of a book that, there's some hope there. There's some energy, there's some excitement. And this definitely provided that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out the next issue when it comes out.
alright, so let's talk about The Last Vampire Slayer.
So, Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer number 4. This is written by Casey Gilly, illustrated by Oral Rogue, and Nicola Izzo, colored by Gloria Martinelli, lettered by Ed Dukeshire, design is Nancy Mojica. So, um, not to drag this one out, but this is the issue that I've been waiting for the 4 issues or the 3 previous issues. They're fine. They were good. They were entertaining. But I felt like we touched on this conflict of this issue in the last issue. Like, I thought we were there, and then we weren't, and we're backing up. Everything's cool, whatever. Um, let's make out. Let's, everything's water under the bridge kind of thing. And I'm like, we all know that the, there's trouble going on. I'm still not Still not 100% sure how this book will end, but I'm kind of I kind of enjoy what we've gotten. So basically, um, not to recap everything, but Thessala is the daughter of Willow and Tara. She's the new Slayer. Buffy has since retired, and she's now her watcher. But Buffy has decided she and Spike are going to go on vacation because she needs to sort of get away from everything. She feels overwhelmed and all this other stuff because this is still a continuation of the previous Last Vampire stories and stuff. So a lot's happened in this world. Um, in doing so, leaving Thessala by herself, she is, um, she doesn't care to be a slayer, and she is, she's a witch, and so she's more being a slayer. She's not allowed to use her magic as much as she wants to, and so she has been sort of quote unquote doing video blogs to uh, for the watchers council or whatever it's called, to basically tell them, I don't care, I'm going to do this stuff anyway. She gets close to the edge but never really does a lot of stuff anyway. Her girlfriend at this given time, we have been led to believe, is part of a family who is using demons, or summoning demons to uh to give them power to be able to do stuff. um and it's not until this issue where Thessala realizes, oh crap, because after a makeout session, she realizes that her girlfriend has these demonic symbols on her back tattooed. And she's like, you can't fake what that is because I know what that those symbols are. I know what they mean. I know what they do. So basically it's just this confrontation, like you can't hide this anymore kind of thing. And so she gets a sob story about, you know, why she has the tattoos and all this other stuff. And it's half truth, half lie in order to get to a certain point of where Thessala is not going to uh just outright attack her. But in doing so, what her girlfriend has done is provide Thessala with a target, which is um, the her current girlfriend's ex boyfriend, who was abusive and but was also into magic and witchcraft and all this. Um, so it all comes to this giant conclusion of uh, that they're all that she's getting the ability to, or the opportunity to, sort of let loose magic, magically in a confrontation. Her girlfriend sort of shows her colors at this point. She knows that she's not helpless in this situation, that she's actually part of this group, that's against her. um Buffy returns knowing, oh crap, I've screwed up. And so there's a weird moment that makes no sense other than the fact it's put there for symbology. Buffy even points it out that that's symbolic, because it gets thrown back in her face where she goes to the ocean and is throwing out she is rushing back to Thessaly to help her, but is able to take the time to go get all of the former Slayer weapons to take to the beach to then throw them into the ocean to say goodbye to whoever had the weapon, only to have her crossbow be thrown back at her, basically. And she's like, okay, well, I guess I'm not done with that yet. And I'm like, you had what? You knew that you had time for this. I mean, it was a funny moment, but at the same time, it was like, it really didn't just press the brakes a little bit. It stomped on the brakes of the story. And and then we get her showing up at the end with Thessala. Like, okay, we're gonna take it to these guys in the next issue. Um this mini this miniseries has been enjoyable. I've really been enjoying the art a lot. This issue is the action in this. I enjoyed the first issue as far as the storytelling and everything. The second and third have been okay. This issue, because we got sort of everything that we've been building up toward finally is taking place with this, confrontation of this battle and everything. This is kind of what I wanted to see. I've been wanting to see this. I thought we were going to have a series of conflicts and these battles and stuff all throughout the miniseries because that would have been, at least for me, a lot more entertaining than what we had been getting. Yes, I understand the Buffy the Vampire Slayer is about teenage angst and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. I want fighty. I wa- I want I want demons to be slain. I want magic users to be using their magic. I want all this other stuff. There's not a host of characters that Buffy surrounded herself with anymore. Thessaly is just by herself, really. So it's kind of like I felt like the second and third issue were kind of like not as impactful. This was a really solid issue, so I'm definitely looking forward to how they conclude the series or continue. I forgot how many issues it is, um, but I'm definitely looking forward to the next issue because we're going to see a lot of things explode. I'm sure. So hopefully it'll be good. I'm crossing my fingers. So
Cool beans.
yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's I struggle from time to time with Buffy stories, Firefly stories too, where there are a lot of it's a lot of good stories, but there are those highlights that I really want to see more than I want to see the character development. And it's not even I mean, she's a new character, so I get there's time needing to be spent. There's no fault of Casey Gilly for doing that. I don't want to any I'm not criticizing her at all for that. It's just, you know, I kind of have a expectation for a Buffy story or a new Vampire Slayer story. But we're also being introduced to a new character. When Frey came along and she was the Slayer from the future or whatever, I felt like that was, a lot more um a lot faster pace, even though I think it was like 6 issues or something like that, or 8 issues. Um, but that's just me remembering it. If I go back and
Right.
read it now, I'll probably find there's 2 or 3 or 4 issues or whatever. There's, a lot of slowing down, a lot of people talking, and those scenes being set up and stuff like that. So, um, but yeah, but it's still been a good series. Just whatever. So, but that's it. That's all I got.
5,
Anything else, sir?
6 or 7 issues next week.
I know. We got a
3
lot to
to
talk about.
double. Yeah, and a brand new one
Yep.
in with that. So,
Yep. It's been a lot of
no, I
fun.
don't. Well, I did want to bring up that. Yeah, and I closed it already. Something sold out. What sold out? The new book.
Oh, Space Between. Yeah, Space Between number 1
Yeah,
did
Space
sell out.
Between
It is
sold
going
out.
to a second printing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, other than that,
Those
no.
retailers really thought it was a good book to pick up. So,
Okay.
I mean,
I'm not going to
yeah,
say it's bad, but it's like,
it's not bad. Yeah, it's just
yeah,
not
okay.
not what I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I No, what I expected was a sci-fi love story, and I got that. I just got it super, super fast. And
Well, I mean, you got that at the end,
yeah,
but you didn't get any reason for that.
right. Yeah.
So it's like, well, yeah, we got there. Yeah, but it's like I closed my eyes and you got
Yep.
there. But
Yep.
yeah, you got there. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. All right. Well, it is what it is. So, like I said,
Yep.
we'll see what happens the next issue. So, all right. Well, if you want to come by and check us out, we're at boomaddiction.com, or you can come by our YouTube page, channel, whatever that thing may be. Email us at boomaddiction@gmail.com, much like Peter did. You can come check us out on Twitter, which is at boomaddiction. You can follow Ed at Teal Productions. You can follow me at Chris Parton. Those are the best ways to get in contact with us. Although Ed has been trying out other social media, maybe.
Yeah, the sky is blue, from what I hear.
Yes.
So
So,
I've
and
been
if you
looking
need
up at
any
the sky a
invites to
lot.
that, let me know. I've got a few.
Yeah, I have some
They give those away like candy.
to give
Um,
away. Yes.
you can come by our forums at justanotherfanboy at freeforums.net and come by our Facebook group, Fans of Boom Studios. Uh, you can check us out every Monday, every Monday night at 7 p.m. now is when we record our new episode live on YouTube and in our Facebook group. And if you follow us on Twitter at Boom Addiction, you'll see the feed there. And so, big thanks to Boom Studios for tweeting out that feed. I noticed that they had put that out there, so I appreciate that, folks.
Cool beans.
Um, but yeah, that's it. Until
Yep.
next week. Again, thanks everybody for listening. Ed, thanks as always for joining me.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
catch y'all later. Goodbye.
Ciao, folks.